Secretary Starr. Question, you said earlier in answer to Congressman Smith that on Benghazi they didn't get the threat information. Now, I understand that threat information may be a term of art, but to Mr. Westmoreland's point earlier, certainly a bomb blowing up on the side of a wall, the whole litany of events that took place beginning March 18th, 2012, until the first time there was a communication from Ambassador Stevens, isn't that enough information? So you're not saying nobody was aware of the nature of the threat. Is the threat a term of art?
Congressman, thank you for the question. I think the distinction is that I was trying to make was that there was no specific threat information that had been developed by the intelligence community.
In other words, these people are coming over the hilltop at this moment in time. Okay, let me ask you this. As I said,
we don't normally get that. I think your point that there were a number of different things going on, I think people were aware of the overall level of instability.
Okay, well, here's my point. In the Senate Intelligence Committee report, they reported on June 6th of 2012, Ambassador Stevens recommended the creation of teams and so forth. The team was never created in Benghazi despite the ambassador's recommendation. There were other events subsequent to that. Then Ambassador Stevens reaches out again, sends a cable to the State Department headquarters requesting a minimum of 13 temporary duty personnel, and the State Department never fulfilled his request, and headquarters never responded to the request with the cable. And then they follow up on August 16th of 2012, a month before these events. Again, a cable to the state headquarters. Stevens raised additional concerns, etc., etc., etc. Now, go to the ARB. The ARB says one thing 2 times about Ambassador Stevens, and it's worth noting. They said this about him: his status as the leading U.S. government advocate on Libya policy and his expertise on Benghazi in particular caused Washington to give unusual deference to his judgments. They said that on page 6 of the report. They cut and pasted it. They liked it so much, they put it on page 34 of the report. And yet, ignoring the ambassador, who by their own admission is the expert in the area, and ignoring his requests for support, that's not giving unusual deference to his judgments, is it, Mr. Secretary?
Difficult question, Congressman.
No, it's very straightforward.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's a difficult question. I think that Chris Stevens was a tremendous ambassador with a tremendous...
Look, there's no question that he was tremendous. There's no question that he was a hero. He made specific requests of the department. The department in the ARB said this person is uniquely qualified, Secretary, and he was ignored.
And I think this is why the ARB recommendations are what they are.
Well, this is why the ARB recommendations and the panel say you can't have this kind of waiver authority. When Ms. Roby asked you the question, are there any plans for temporary facilities in the future, you were pretty clever in how you responded. You said, we don't have any plans for it, and I'm not likely, and I'm paraphrasing now, I'm not likely to approve it. And you know what that tells me? That tells me you can do it all again. That tells me that you can take the special mission compound, you can call it something else, you can call it a temporary consular facility, you can take 2 adjectives and put it in front of a noun and call it some other thing and do it all again. So here's the question. If Madeleine Albright signed off on certain recommendations, if the best practices panel makes certain recommendations, why is it that the State Department is clinging to this legacy of power that has failed? Why are you grasping on it so much? Why not walk away from it? And nobody here is criticizing a very tough job. But the nature of the job, Mr. Secretary, means that this, to Mr. Cummins' point, needs to be the transformational moment. And why not be the transformational moment to say, we're not just going to choose to redefine things, and we're going to revisit how we do these waivers, and we're going to do everything we can in cooperation with Congress to honor Chris Stevens' legacy, to honor the legacy of those who suffered, who you served with, and you know, But why cling to this old thing that just isn't working? Are you the only one that doesn't see it?
Congressman, I think I have a distinct view, having served 29 years with the State Department, 4 years with the United Nations, and I'm back again. I think 40 recommendations made by the Best Practices panel. Well,
Okay, so take your argument. A couple of minutes ago, you made this point as it relates to the responsibility of a Foreign Service officer, that they have a responsibility to be mindful of their own security. That was in response to Ms. Sanchez. Every Foreign Service officer must understand that they have a role in their own security. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And yet, when Ambassador Stevens played a role in his own security on cable number 1, cable number 2, and cable number 3, that responsibility was not absorbed or reflected in the State Department. And you're not offering anything as it relates to fundamental change, because based on what the rules are right now, Mr. Secretary, you have the authority, you have the capacity, and you've got the flexibility to do the Benghazi structure again. Am I wrong?
the rules have been changed. Who is responsible is clearly defined.
Who is responsible is fourth down on the food chain, and by your
No,
own your
sir, I would
recommendations,
disagree with
you've
that.
got to
I
jump.
am responsible.
Yeah, but I'm
I can
telling
give
you,
the latest example when we're trying to open a facility in southern Turkey. We had a request to put personnel in on the ground for START operations, for humanitarian operations. They're in their TDY. We need a facility. We are in the process of leasing a facility. We know where it's going to be. A request came to me from the people on the ground saying, can we use it in advance of the security upgrades being accomplished? My answer, no.
okay, that's beautiful. And in light of